Hi, welcome to our channel where we share the most intriguing stories. At 5 a.m., a mob of yoga fanatics led by the HOA president pounded on my private gate, demanding access to my pond. I wasn't a member, never was. But that didn't stop them from launching a full-on war. Trespass, sabotage, arson. They wanted my land. They picked the wrong man. I moved out here to get away from all this. That was the thought running through my head as I stared at the envelope in my hand. Thick cream-colored cardstock with a golden foil HOA logo embossed on the front like it was some royal decree. I'd only seen this type of self-importance on security briefings in D.C. or when corporate execs thought a new logo would save a sinking company. But here it was again, staring me down. The Silver Birch Hollow Homeowners Association, summoning me like some kind of trespassing peasant. I ripped it open without ceremony. Inside, 3 pages stapled cleanly, printed in 14-point Times New Roman, with an official tone that was almost funny if it hadn't been so deranged. They were demanding that I 1. Provide a duplicate set of keys to my front gate to ensure fair and timely access for community programming. 2. Install lighting fixtures around the northern pond perimeter to meet pre-dawn safety codes. 3. Deliver a weekly availability schedule so the HOA could organize sunrise wellness gatherings. 4. And this was the kicker, affirm that Mr. Cole acknowledges the historical communal spirit of this water feature. My pond, my gate, my damn trees. I let out a slow whistle and set the letter on the kitchen counter, right next to my coffee mug and a half-finished schematic for the new weatherproof camera node I'd been building for the South Trail. The sun hadn't even fully come up yet, and already I was being dragged back into a world I thought I'd left behind. I'd bought this land, 40 acres of forest, field, and the old Cole family pond to escape idiots with clipboards. I wasn't in their HOA. I wasn't even on their map. My property had been private and independently zoned since my grandfather poured the first ring of concrete around that pond in 1974. My parcel sat adjacent to their fake historic over-landscaped suburban enclave, but it was never part of it. Legally, physically, philosophically, separate. I drafted a reply that same morning. Nothing fancy. Just a clean, firm letter stating, I am not, and have never been, a member of Silver Birch Hollow HOA. My land is privately owned, tax-registered, and fenced. No access will be granted. No keys will be issued. Any further intrusion will be treated as trespassing under state law. I attached copies of my deed, boundary survey, tax history, and an old aerial photo of the land from the early 80s, just to drive the point home. Certified mail, return receipt. Done. I figured that would be the end of it. That was my mistake. The next morning, 5:03 a.m. sharp, my phone vibrated, lighting up the nightstand like a mini disco. Unknown number. I nearly let it ring out, thinking it was some robocall from someone wanting to refinance a mortgage I didn't have, but instinct, the old kind, kicked in, and I answered. The first thing I heard was shouting, "Dexter, open the gate." Voices behind her, multiple. I heard someone say, "It's locked, try the other side." Another yelled, "Get the mats ready." Someone coughed. A dog barked. "Dexter Cole, you were formally notified. This pond is a community health asset, and you are denying access. We are here for our session." It was Karen. I hadn't met her in person, but I recognized the voice from a video someone had once posted on the local Facebook group. Her ranting at a UPS driver for parking with wrong tire alignment. Karen Lakewood, president of the Silver Birch Hollow HOA. Probably born in a sundress and legalese. I sat up, swung my feet over the side of the bed, and walked to the wall monitor. The camera feed loaded in seconds. Sure enough, there they were, a cluster of 10 to 12 figures standing outside my wrought iron gate, dressed in activewear, holding yoga mats, reusable bottles, and clipboards. One woman appeared to be holding a Bluetooth speaker in the air like she was summoning spirits. Someone else had a thermos and a little orange megaphone. "Karen," I said into the phone, cool and even, "it's 5 in the morning. You're on private property. Turn around and leave before I involve law enforcement. We are outside the gate, which is still contested territory pending historical review." "It's not contested. It's my land." "You've been served." "No." I've been harassed. This is your final warning. I tapped the screen, saved the footage, and triggered the external speakers. A low recorded announcement played across the property line. You are approaching restricted private property. Your presence is being recorded. Leave immediately. Karen's face, now zoomed in and crystal clear on camera, twisted like she'd bitten into something sour. "We'll be back," she hissed into the mic. "This isn't over." She was right, but not in the way she thought. I didn't sleep after that call, not because I was shaken, but because I knew this was just the opening move. You don't gather a gang of yoga disciples at 5 in the morning to make a polite request. You do it when you're trying to make a scene. And that meant I had to prepare for Act 2. By 6 a.m., I was in the control room. Okay, technically just my converted utility room with too many monitors and a coffee machine, pulling footage from all angles. I had 3 HD videos of the incident: the front gate cam, the overhead drone capture from the South Sensor Station, and an infrared backup. Audio was crisp, time-stamped, and backed up on the cloud, and 2 encrypted drives. At 7:15 sharp, I filed a digital complaint with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Department, attaching a full dossier, videos, audio, HOA letters, a notarized property line survey, and a brief written statement. By 8, I'd already received a call from Deputy Graham confirming receipt. They showed up at 5 a.m. 5:03, I corrected. They attempted to open the gate. I have footage of a man rattling the lock. Karen Lakewood shouted through the speaker, demanding entry. All recorded. There was a pause. "Do you want to press charges?" "Not yet, but I want it on record." "Smart move. You'll get a case number this afternoon." By 10 o'clock, the story had reached local media. Someone, my bet was Karen herself, had tipped off a reporter from the Merrimack Valley Echo. Headline hit the site before lunch. "Private landowner denies wellness access to HOA members. Tension builds over pond use." The article was pure fluff. An early morning yoga group was denied entry to a long-time water feature that borders a beloved HOA neighborhood. Residents say the pond has always felt like part of the community. They even quoted Karen, "It's not about ownership, it's about healing. We just want to stretch in peace." Stretch in peace? On private land? I'd seen this tactic before. Reframe the narrative. Use public sympathy. Drown legal lines in emotional language. It's not trespassing. It's reclaiming space. It's not breaking and entering. It's community-based restoration. But I wasn't some tech-illiterate retiree. I knew how fast things could snowball when perception got ahead of facts. At noon, I got a text from a neighbor 2 parcels over. "Hey, is it true HOA tried to break into your land? We're seeing it all over next door." By 2, I had emails from 2 different legal bloggers asking for interviews. I declined politely. I wasn't ready for cameras yet, not until I locked down the perimeter, and that's exactly what I did. I spent the afternoon reinforcing my northern fence line, installed 2 new license plate reading cameras at the secondary entrance, and added motion sensors with voice alerts near the footpath by the east tree line, the one they might try to sneak through next. By 5 p.m., I received a package from my lawyer. It was a binder, tabbed, indexed, and thick. Inside were case studies of similar disputes involving HOAs overstepping their bounds, plus copies of New Hampshire's private land access laws and HOA authority limits. She included a sticky note. "You've got a clean case, but they're going to test it. Be ready." That night, I cooked dinner with the lights low and the exterior floodlights on standby. Motion alerts were silent, but set to push straight to my phone. I reviewed the footage again, added it to a master archive, and built a read-only share link in case I needed to drop it to media, law enforcement, or public forums in an instant. Just before midnight, a quiet notification chimed on my laptop. New comment posted on the article: "He doesn't own the pond. His land's been contested for years. We'll get access back, one way or another. I free the pond." Posted anonymously, but the IP pinged from inside Silver Birch Hollow. 2 days of relative silence. No voices at the gate, no anonymous flyers, no thermoses clinking at dawn. I knew better than to think they'd quit. People like Karen don't back down. They retreat just long enough to regroup, to find another flank. The next move came in a beige envelope from the Sullivan County Land Office. No drama this time. Just a plain sheet of paper with a stamped header and a 3-paragraph notice. A claim has been filed alleging historical community access to the pond located at the northern edge of parcel Lenari Forador 8A. An administrative review is being initiated to assess any legitimate easement or public rights of way connected to this natural feature. Below that, a line stating that the claim originated from Silver Birch Hollow Homeowners Association, signed by President Karen Lakewood. They were trying to declare the pond a shared resource, not through legal purchase, not even through a court order, through nostalgia. According to their petition, the pond had been used unofficially for morning walks, photo shoots, and seasonal baptisms over the last 30 years. The fact that no such thing ever occurred on my land, or that it had been gated, fenced, and surveyed since the 70s, didn't seem to matter. They even included aerial screenshots from Google Earth with arrows drawn in MS Paint showing paths of foot traffic. One line, in hot pink, traced directly through my east orchard as if it were a sidewalk. I called my attorney, Diana Hauser. "I assume you've seen it?" I asked. "Oh, I've seen it," she said dryly. They attached a map drawn on an iPad. "What's the play here?" "Delay, disruption, and PR. They're trying to create a paper trail. If they can manufacture historic use, they can push for prescriptive easement. That takes decades." "True, but they're not playing for court. They're playing for headlines." I hung up and pulled out the heavy box I hadn't opened in years, the one marked Cold Property, Historical Archives. Inside were photos, tax statements, family ledgers, even a yellowed copy of the original 1974 permit to dig the pond, hand-signed by my grandfather and a guy from the local conservation board. I scanned the whole set, uploaded it to a locked archive, and sent copies to Diana. Next, I went on offense. I hired an independent land use historian, retired professor from Dartmouth, who specialized in New England property disputes. He reviewed my documents, visited the site, and within 48 hours issued a written statement. No evidence of any historical communal use of the pond. In fact, prior fencing and tax assessments confirm consistent private designation since its creation. I made 3 copies of that report and mailed one to the county land office, one to the sheriff, and one, with a note attached, to Karen's HOA mailbox. But I wasn't done. I upgraded again. 2 more facial recognition cameras went up, this time by the East Footpath and West Ridge Gate. I installed programmable motion-triggered beacons, bright strobes that activated with a soft alert tone and voice warning. "You are approaching private property under recorded surveillance. Your presence has been logged." Then came the final touch, a 2-lane key-coded turnstile with reinforced steel posts. Not for looks, for statement. By the end of the week, I got word that Karen had launched a petition across Silver Birch Hollow. Their goal? To formally annex the pond and surrounding area as an extended community feature, citing traditional enjoyment and wellness initiatives. I got a copy of the petition. It had over 50 signatures. Some of them from residents who'd never even set foot on my property. But this wasn't about logic anymore. It was about territory. HOA pride. Karen wanted the pond not because she needed it, but because I told her she couldn't have it. The next night, a neighbor forwarded me an email blast. "Join us for a candlelight vigil at the East Trailhead this Saturday. Reclaim our communal serenity." They were bringing candles. I was bringing infrared. Saturday night came, and with it, the candles. At exactly 8 p.m., my perimeter motion sensors lit up like Christmas. 12 warm bodies on the eastern edge, standing just outside the fence, waving tea lights and humming something that sounded suspiciously like a slowed-down Coldplay song. I didn't go out there. I didn't say a word. I just watched from the control room, sipping my bourbon and recording every second. They didn't cross the fence. Not this time. But the message was clear. They were playing the long game, and they weren't done. Sunday morning, the real harassment started. Someone began placing little handwritten signs along the county road near my entrance. Cheap laminated things on sticks, like mini picket protest art. They read, "Let the community heal. Stop hoarding nature. He doesn't even swim in it. Reclaim the pond." By Monday, a post appeared on the Silver Birch Hollow Facebook group. A full-color flyer uploaded and tagged in dozens of neighborhood threads. Neighbor or nuisance. Local property owner blocks decades-old community wellness space. Join our peaceful action this week. Peach pond access now. I knew I shouldn't have looked at the comments, but I did. He moved here just to gate off nature. He has cameras pointed at the trail. That's basically spying. What's he hiding? Why is one man allowed to control something this peaceful? I wasn't hiding anything, but I sure as hell wasn't backing down. On Tuesday, the first real damage happened. One of my new fence posts on the North Trail, steel core sunk 3 feet deep, capped with tamper-proof bolts, was found half-wrenched from the ground. Whoever did it brought tools. They cut the mounting brackets, tried to pull the entire panel loose. They failed, but only barely. The camera caught it. A tall figure in a gray hoodie, face obscured, probably male. He approached from the hollow side, worked fast, in and out in under 2 minutes. The timestamp was 2:41 a.m. I filed a criminal mischief report that morning and handed the footage to Deputy Graham. Again. That same afternoon, another delivery arrived from the HOA. A letter, this one more aggressive in tone, marked final warning before legal action. Karen accused me of deliberate obstruction of communal access, malicious disruption of neighborhood activities, illegal surveillance of pedestrian, traffic, and, most hilariously, installation of militarized hardware not suitable for suburban adjacency. She actually used the term suburban adjacency. The best part, attached was a screenshot of one of my warning beacons, mid-flash, mid-siren, with a caption, "This is the intimidation we're facing." They were trying to paint me as the aggressor, as if I'd deployed attack drones and tripwires. I met with Diana that evening. She read the letter, chuckled once, then went stone serious. "They're building towards civil action," she said. "They're laying the groundwork to sue for access, or at least to try and scare you into arbitration. I'm not giving them anything." I know, but now we need to flip the script. That night, I went public. I uploaded a clean, redacted version of the video from the early morning fence vandalism. No names, no faces, just time, location, and a clear view of someone tampering with private property. I added a short caption. Security footage from 2:41 a.m. shows attempted sabotage of a legal perimeter. Any identification welcome. Footage has been submitted to the county sheriff. Within 2 hours, it had 2,000 views. A few local bloggers picked it up. Comments started pouring in. And this time, some of them were on my side. I live in Birch Hollow, and this is embarrassing. This guy owns that land. Period. I don't know what HOA thinks it's doing, but this isn't okay. That looks like a felony, not a protest. Karen didn't post a public response, but I got an anonymous message late that night. No name, no profile picture. Just 5 words. "You don't know who we are." I stared at it for a full minute before blocking the sender. Then I increased the beacon range by another 50 feet. It was the motion alert that woke me. 4:30 a.m., still dark, dead silent beyond the walls of my house. The screen lit up red. Something was moving near the pond. I sat up fast, grabbed the tablet from my nightstand, and tapped into the feed. 3 figures. Dark hoodies, no lights, moving in quick jerks like they'd rehearsed it. One of them had a backpack. Another was crouched low, glancing side to side. The third, bigger than the others, had what looked like a crowbar. They weren't here for a swim. I watched in silence as they moved toward the pump shed, a small structure near the pond's edge that housed the irrigation system and emergency water control valves. One of them fumbled with something from the pack. A bottle, then another. Glass. I zoomed in. Molotovs. The bastard was holding a rag-stuffed liquor bottle like we were in some kind of street riot. I hit the red button on the wall. The property went loud. Sirens wailed across the grounds. Strobe lights lit up every inch of the field. Floodlights snapped on, washing the scene in blazing white. The trespassers froze like deer, then bolted, but not before the one with the bottle hurled it straight at the shed. Fire burst across the front wall of the structure. Cheap accelerant. It lit up fast, licking across the wood siding and chewing up the dry grass like it had been waiting. I didn't panic. I ran protocol. I hit the second button, irrigation override, and the entire north grid hissed to life. Underground valves opened, releasing a targeted wall of pressure. Within 20 seconds, the flame was choking in mist and dying out under a high-volume deluge from 3 angles. By then, I was already on the phone. "This is Dexter Cole, parcel 408A. I have an active arson attempt. 3 individuals on camera. I've engaged perimeter defense and fire suppression. I need deputies now." Sheriff's response time was just under 8 minutes. By then, I had the entry route tracked, vehicle ID tags logged, and facial captures from the beacon cams that lit up when they crossed into Zone 7. One of them didn't make it out in time. He ran straight into the closing gate. not realizing it had activated on lockdown mode. When the deputies arrived, he was curled up in the brush, bleeding from the forehead, half choked on fear and sprinkler mist. The other two got away temporarily, but the camera footage made it clear they had driven in from Birch Hollow. Their car, a rust-colored Nissan Pathfinder, had been caught on 3 different plates: Entrance Road, South Boundary, and at the Ridge turn near the old Timber Lane. The one we caught gave his name after an hour: Ryan Lakewood, Karen's nephew. He was 18, and he was terrified. The second ID came from his phone, left behind when he tripped near the fire zone. Inside, messages from an unsaved number giving instructions, timestamps, and one ominous text from 2 hours earlier. "You're not hurting him. Just smoke him out a little. Scare tactic. Trust me, he won't call cops if you torch the pump shed. He'll back off." They traced that number to a burner phone, but the metadata showed the device had been registered, even briefly, from an address inside Silver Birch Hollow's HOA contractor office. The third man, still unidentified, had used a keycard to enter the back gate from the contractor side. Only 3 people had that clearance: Karen, her landscaping foreman, and a private security vendor they hired for HOA events. Guess which one wasn't in Florida like they claimed on Instagram. I gave the footage to the sheriff. They were still assembling charges, but the list was already stacking up: criminal trespass, arson attempt, destruction of private property, reckless endangerment. And when I handed them the full archive, I made sure to include Karen's voice from that first 5 a.m. call. "We demanded access. We'll be back." She wanted escalation. She got it. I watched from the end of my gravel drive as they hauled Ryan into the back of the cruiser. The kid looked like a wet dog, shivering, dirty, dazed. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. But then I remembered the fireball exploding outside my pump house. And I hoped Karen was watching. The story broke faster than I expected. It started with a blog post. Some true crime enthusiast pulled the public arrest record for Ryan Lakewood and recognized the name. Within 12 hours, local news stations were running headlines like "Arson attempt on private landowner's property tied to HOA president's family." "Pond dispute turns criminal, Silver Birch Hollow under scrutiny." By the time Tuesday rolled around, I couldn't go into town for coffee without someone giving me a slow nod, like I'd survived a war they'd only just heard about. Deputy Graham called me in that afternoon for an official debrief. I brought everything, not just the arson footage, but the older clips too. The trespass, the broken fence, the morning phone call, the flyers, the letter demanding keys. Even the HOA's absurd complaint about militarized perimeter fixtures. I laid it all out. Graham and the county DA watched silently. No interruptions. By the end of the meeting, the mood in the room had changed. "This isn't civil harassment anymore," said the DA, a no-nonsense woman named Whitaker. "This is organized coercion. We'll start with conspiracy to commit criminal mischief and endangerment. But if that burner phone tracks back to HOA office funds..." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. By Wednesday, Karen was officially named in the investigation. She made a dramatic Facebook post trying to spin it as some smear campaign. "I've always acted in the interest of community cohesion. These baseless attacks are designed to destabilize harmony." That same day, I received a visit from a man in khakis and a white polo. Clipboard, firm handshake, HOA compliance auditor, apparently. Sent to verify boundary structures and collect data for neighborhood mediation possibilities. He didn't get 10 steps past the gate. "I suggest you turn around," I said. "I already gave everything to the sheriff's office." He didn't argue, just walked back to his SUV and peeled out a little too fast. Thursday, a cease and desist arrived from the HOA's legal counsel. It accused me of defamation, aggressive escalation, and posting private footage without community authorization. It demanded that I remove all videos from public access and refrain from further incendiary commentary online. I handed the letter to Diana, who laughed so hard she spilled her coffee. "They're panicking," she said. "They know this isn't going away." By Friday, it really wasn't. Channel 8 ran an evening segment titled "When HOA Power Goes Too Far," featuring drone shots of my property, the burned patch of earth, and a pixelated freeze frame of Ryan mid-run. They interviewed me, only my voice by request, and spliced it between clips of Karen's press statements. I didn't hold back. I own my land. I maintain it. I secure it. They wanted access. When I said no, they tried to scare me into submission. It didn't work. The response was immediate. Several residents from Birch Hollow began contacting local officials. At least 4 families filed formal complaints against the HOA board. One man, an older vet with a house backing up to the West Trail, showed up at my gate and handed me a USB drive. "You didn't hear this from me," he said. "But there are emails on here between Karen and the board. They were planning the push since January." I opened the files that night. Dozens of messages, some mundane, others damning. "He won't last long out there. Isolated types fold fast. Once the wellness sessions start, we can normalize access. He'll cave eventually. Push him from 2 sides, legal and public. Let's get a contractor inside to fix the trail." They thought they could wear me down, gaslight me into thinking I was the one overreacting. Instead, I had them cold. I forwarded the whole batch to DA Whitaker. That weekend, she filed formal charges against Karen Lakewood for criminal conspiracy, intentional incitement of property damage, abuse of civic authority, tampering with public records, and unlawful use of HOA resources in a personal campaign. When they came to arrest her Monday morning, she refused to come out, locked herself in the HOA clubhouse, and called a local news anchor to explain her side. She claimed she was being politically persecuted by land barons. They still put her in cuffs. And just like that, the facade cracked. Court started quieter than I expected. No cameras, no shouting, no viral outrage. Just a white-walled county building with creaky floors, a bored bailiff, and the buzz of overhead lights that made the whole place feel like a DMV with consequences. Karen sat across the room at the defense table, her hair flat-ironed to hell, wearing a pale gray blazer like she was trying to cosplay a mayor. She didn't look at me once. Her lawyer did, though, a twitchy type with gold-rimmed glasses who couldn't keep his hands off his notes. The charges were laid out in a monotone: conspiracy to trespass, criminal coercion, use of HOA funds for unauthorized personal operations, attempted manipulation of public access easement records, indirect incitement of criminal mischief. Pleaded not guilty. Of course she did. The judge set the preliminary hearing for 2 weeks later. In the meantime, the court issued a restraining order blocking Karen from any HOA administrative duties and from setting foot within 500 feet of my property line. Didn't stop the drama. Over the next few days, residents of Silver Birch Hollow began receiving subpoenas as potential witnesses, document custodians, or in one case, co-conspirators. One of the board members, Harold Yates, resigned overnight and posted a cryptic Facebook message about not being a pawn anymore. 2 more members lawyered up. Meanwhile, the DA's office brought in a forensic accounting team. Turns out Karen had funneled over $36,000 of HOA discretionary funds into what she called community wellness initiatives, which included contractor payments for meditative site clearing, the landscaping efforts to push toward my pond. Worse, some of the invoices had fake addresses, one linked back to her sister's vacation cabin, another to an unregistered LLC in Delaware. The local newspaper got wind of it all. They published a 2-page feature with the headline, "From Pond to Pyre, the Implosion of Silver Birch Hollow," and right under it, the still from my surveillance cam, showing Karen's nephew lighting the Molotov, frozen in the act. That image made its way to a TV anchor's desk. Suddenly, national coverage. Day 4 of the hearing, the courtroom had press rows, and I had backup. A local advocacy group for property rights reached out, offering legal support and media assistance. Turns out, this wasn't the first time an overzealous HOA had crossed the line in New England, just the first time someone fought back with a firewall of censors and a backbone. Then came the witnesses. First was Deputy Graham, who testified to the arrest, the camera footage, the property damage, and the emergency call log. Then Diana, who laid out how Karen had tried to manipulate my decisions with threats, passive-aggressive letters, and phone harassment. Then came me. I didn't perform. I just spoke. About the land, about the gate, about my refusal to give up something just because a bureaucratic cartel felt entitled. When I finished, the silence in that courtroom felt different. Not stunned, not indifferent, just solid. Like people were finally seeing what this was. A power play. A reckless one, and now it was unraveling in real time. It took the jury less than 4 hours to deliver a verdict. Guilty. Karen Lakewood was found responsible on 5 separate counts, with the court acknowledging not just her coordination of events leading to the arson attempt, but her abuse of civic position, falsification of financial records, and orchestration of a campaign of targeted harassment. The judge didn't mince words during sentencing. This court finds your actions to be predatory, manipulative, and dangerous. You used an association meant to manage neighborhood well-being as a weapon for personal dominance. You endangered lives, property, and public trust. For that, you will serve 8 years in state prison without possibility of parole for the first 4. Karen didn't cry. She just sat there, frozen, a statue of failed power. The HOA board was dissolved by emergency vote less than a week later. Residents held a town hall without microphones or scripts and decided unanimously to dismantle Silver Birch Hollow HOA entirely. In its place, they formed a voluntary neighborhood council with 0 regulatory authority, only advisory capacity, no dues, no surveillance, no Karen. As for the financial fallout, the court ordered the now defunct HOA to compensate me for all property damage, legal expenses, and installation of new perimeter security systems, totaling nearly $400,000. Diana and I celebrated with the most expensive bottle of scotch I've ever opened. The burned-out shed by the pond, rebuilt, but I didn't just replace it. I installed a fireproof prefab structure reinforced with galvanized steel, solar-powered lights, and a weatherproof alarm terminal tied directly to the sheriff's office. I also added a steel barrier behind the main gate with automatic lockdown triggers and plate recognition. Anyone who isn't on the whitelist gets a loud, obnoxious denied from the speaker system. It's petty, but it makes me laugh every time. I still get mail from former HOA members, some apologetic, some embarrassed. One guy even offered to do free landscaping, just to prove not everyone in Birch Hollow had lost their minds. And me? I wake up early now. Not because I have to, but because I want to walk my own damn land in peace. Coffee in hand, boots in the dirt, and no one barking through a phone at 5 a.m. demanding keys to what's mine. Let them find a different pond. This one's taken.